I call to order the meeting of Board of Public Works on Monday, December 16th at City Hall Council Chambers. Item number 2, approval of minutes, November 18th, 2024, Board of Public Works meeting. Have a motion? Second. And a second. Any questions, concerns? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, citizens' comments. Citizens' comments. We have no one here. Item 4, request permission to solicit bids for Northeast Pump Station rehabilitation, presented by Mark Cavella, wastewater superintendent.
Podium, lectern. Lights on. Oh, there we go. As we first mess. Good evening. The Northeast Wastewater Pump Station was built in 1976 and serves 1/3 of the city's flow. In 2000, the station had a retrofit, which added a 4th pump, telemetry, and a new generator. In 2014, there was a partial rehabilitation done due to severe clogging issues and equipment failures. This included replacing 2 of the 4 original style pumps with non-clogged dry pit submersible pumps. New motor controls, updating the dry well to meet current code standards, and repainting of the dry well side of the station. Now it's time to complete the final phase of this rehabilitation, which includes replacement of the remaining 2 original pumps and rehabilitation of the wet well side of the station. On October 24th, 23, the council approved a task order with Strand Associates for design and bidding services to complete the final phase of this station's rehabilitation. Added to the scope was the design of a vault to enable inspection of the force main. This was due to the leak caused by corrosion and the resulting sanitary sewer overflow that occurred on November 8th, 2023. The plans are now complete and the project is ready to advertise for bids. The city's CIP lists this as a 2025 project. Funding will be from wastewater utility user fees. A Clean Water Fund loan was applied for, but that was just released late last week. And although we were approved for the loan, principal forgiveness was not allocated. Actually, we were eligible, but there's insufficient funds for principal forgiveness, and we were just off the chart that we won't be eligible. So we probably will not seek the Clean Water Fund loan route and utilize wastewater utility user fees and 601 funds. Please note, I will be requesting additional approvals at a later Board of Public Works meeting for construction management of this project and approval to hire a specialized contractor to do the force main assessment. The project requires a Class 2 notice for advertising, which means we will have to advertise it in the official local paper 2 times. The project will utilize Quest CDN website for advertising, follow-up questions, addendums, and electronic bidding. The City of Marshfield has used this before and it works well. Our advertisement for bids is seen by all contractors, subcontractors, and material suppliers who have identified an interest in these specific types of construction projects. The prospective bidders then have the opportunity to review the plans and specifications in more detail to determine if it fits their forte. Following is an anticipated timeline, We'd, if approved, we'd solicit bids this week yet, and pre-qualifications in early January, and then seek your approval for after bid opening on January 14th on the January 20th Board of Public Works meeting. Later in the summer, if the project goes forward and the assessment vault is installed, we would then ask for to do the assessment of the force main in summer. And we were hoping on getting Becker Road repaired, the culvert and the repair done underneath Becker Road yet this summer, but, or next summer, I'm sorry. But I think the timeline is going to be just too crunched, and that's going to push into early summer of 2026. So with that, I recommend approval to solicit bids for the Northeast Pump Station Rehab Project.
I'll move to approve.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Go ahead, Derek.
Thank you, Mike. And thanks for the talk through this, Mark. I think this sounds really positive. I did want to just clarify a couple things. One, without that loan, it sounds like we're going to be using the fees in, did you say 601 fund?
Yes, correct.
How is that fund? Like, what's the health of that? I mean, will we have enough? Is it?
Yes, there's sufficient funds existing in that savings account generated from user fees that would pay for this project.
Okay, excellent. That's good to hear. And then the other question I had is just on timeline. Do we have any concerns with getting the pre-qualifications and everything with the upcoming holiday season? You know, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever everybody celebrates, but then on top of that, New Year's as well. Looks like it's just a little cramped in there. I know it's just pre-qualification, but I didn't know if it would eliminate some potential bidders as a result.
Yeah, we were kind of on a fast timeline for this, but the pre-qualification is a fairly easy process for interested parties to submit. And then there's an extra timeline then for them to actually put a bid together. So maybe Josh can allude a little bit more to the pre-qualification process, but it's a fairly easy thing to do, it just shows that they have interest in it.
Yeah, the pre-qualification process really looks at companies' history. You could be references. It also looks at their financing and just that we're comfortable with them being able to.
Have we had any issues in the past with getting bidders due to holidays or anything? I mean, like I said, I know it's pre-qualification, so it's pretty easy, but I know we've had a lot of projects with like one bidder or something because nobody else bid, but I don't know if they were holiday related or any other holdups, if it's always been something they just weren't interested in or too busy.
I'm not aware of scheduling issues like that.
Okay, I feel confident then. Thank you.
Any more questions, concerns? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 5, request permission to solicit bids for Brain Park Pickleball Court Lights Project, presented by Justin Casperson, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you and good evening. The purpose of my memo is to seek approval to solicit bids for the construction of new lights at the pickleball courts at Brain Park. The project was approved in the 2025 budget process. It included lights for the pickleball courts. The courts were built obviously this year, but lights were not included in the project just because of budget overages. And we want to make sure we can get the pickleball courts completed. Provisions were put in place like foundation and conduit put underground so the lights could be added at a later date. Visit Marshfield was very generous to agree to give us $80,000 towards the estimated cost of new lights for the project. I included in your packet a picture of the current courts. The light foundations are throughout the picture. You can't quite see them all. Some are hid by the arborvitaes on the south side or the north side or bottom of your picture. My recommendation is to approve staff to solicit bids for construction for new lights and bring back to the Board of Public Works for your consideration.
Entertain a motion. Have a motion. Motion and a second. Any questions, concerns? Go ahead, Derek.
Justin, thanks for this. Just the $80,000 that we got from Visit Marshfield. Was that because of the past numbers that came in for the lights specifically? So, I mean, I know obviously things can change in construction, but is that essentially what we're projected to be spending?
Yeah, the ad alternate that was part of the original project was estimated about $78,000.
Okay,
So we budgeted 80,000, figuring there might be an increase. We've also been working with different lighting people at Kilty on way to save costs and figure out ways to reduce, like, what I'd consider more expensive things. So we think we're comfortable with that $80,000 number.
okay, perfect. And then just throwing it out, there's a worst case scenario, but do we have like a backup plan so we don't end up getting like a, what do we call them? Resolution?
A budget resolution?
Thank you. A budget resolution.
If there are any additions to the 80,000, we'll still end up doing a budget resolution. That just means we're changing the budget. Doesn't mean it necessarily coming out of the city dollars.
Okay.
If Visit Marshfield wants to pitch in, or the pickleball people want to pitch in or something like that, there may be a budget resolution, but the word is not that negative. It just means we're changing our budget.
Yep.
I wouldn't come back to the city and say, we need to come up with the extra money. I'd have to either go back to the pickleball group or Visit Marshfield or another funding source.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know this was a hot topic. So, I mean, definitely in support, especially if we have a plan in place. So it should be good. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Justin. Kind of an odd topic, but I'm sure you're aware of the concern by some people of light pollution. And I haven't seen the specification for the lights, but how are the lights activated and how is light pollution taken into consideration?
Sport lighting itself has been dealing with the concept or the thought of light pollution for many years, especially football and baseball fields where there's a large amount of green space they have to cover in a very far distance. LED technology has really improved that light pollution concern. This is a relatively small space and relatively very few neighbors. We do have a bank across the street, 3 residents I would consider directly across the street, but no other neighbors that will be directly impacted. The good thing is they can push this light kind of directly right above to down below on the court, so there'll be very little light pollution. I just know LED technology has really improved that ability, especially when it comes to large venues like a football field or a baseball field. So this is really small potatoes for them when it comes to light pollution.
Are they constantly on, or does the user act?
We'll have a timer switch. We'll have 3 zones. If you look at the picture, there's kind of 3 sets of 4 courts, and they'll push a button. There'll be 30 minutes timer, and they'll go off. And then at 10:30, when it's park hours, you can push the button, but the lights won't go on after that time. So they won't be able to turn on until 6:30 in the morning until 10:30 at night, and then they'll automatically shut off after a half hour. Assuming the user is done, they can walk over and push that button to reset it. But we also anticipate most of this usage will be near like the fall time on those warm October days or September days. Typically, I think they'll mostly be done at 9 o'clock at night, and you can still see pretty good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, request permission to solicit bids for Brayham Park softball field construction project, presented by Justin Casperson, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Thank you again. This project's directly related to pickleball and the pickleball lights. This is just on the other side of the park, and this is our long-term project and long-term plans for the park. Last year in 2024, we had this project out to bid, but we didn't have enough money in our budget to make it go forward, so we allocated more money this year. Plus, we received a grant of $20,000 from Wood County. Those dollars allocated to the project, along with our estimates that we had last year, we think we're fine moving forward. This will be the removal of the current existing softball field. That's the fencing, dugouts, asphalt, infield, making it smaller to about 200 feet, and then adding new backstop, new fencing, new infield, new dugouts, bleachers, trash cans, benches, all those things. The field itself is used quite a bit. It's used by the high school, middle school, as well as the Columbus Catholic schools, Marshfield fast pitch, as well as Special Olympics and some slow pitch teams will go out there and practice. Like I mentioned earlier, it's part of the overall larger project, and that includes pickleball courts, a softball field, playground, pavilion, restrooms, and then finally the parking lot. Included in your memo is the conceptual plan for the park as well as the details on the softball field itself. Staff is making a recommendation to go out and solicit bids for the construction of new softball field at Brain Park and then bring back to your guys' board for consideration.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Go ahead, Dirk.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Justin. So this one popped up recently, and I forget the project, but I know, Russ, I think you were also commenting on this. There was open water source we were supposed to have in here, right? And it was real close to that softball diamond. No, say, Josh, I see you nodding your head. Did we get that resolved? I don't remember if they overlapped. It was really close. I thought I saw an email go back and forth about it at one point.
The pond plans you probably saw were kind of high level preliminary design. And it was near to the current softball field fence. With this plan, that should get pulled away from the pond location. And it's certainly something we'll look into as we get final design.
Okay, excellent. I just want to make sure we had that cleared. And then the other thing was just in terms of budget, Justin. So I see we have softball field at 295 was the budget for it. So is that the estimate that we have is 295?
That's our budget for the project. So those budgets include A&E services. So we have to hire and consult with an architect and engineer to design it. We've already done 99% of that because it was done last year. So some of that is included in that. Plus we have direct purchases. So we save money if we can purchase things direct, like a set of bleachers or a set of benches or maybe garbage cans. So sometimes we already have a vendor already in place, so we save dollars. So we'll include some of those items to be included for direct purchase. But 295 is the overall budget. We estimate this closer to about 225.
Okay. And I just wanted to check on that because I feel like I'm missing costs because we have the 100 from the room tax, the 20 from the Wood County grant, and then I think we put 120 in CIP, right?
Well, 120's in this, 100's in the CIP through the room tax. We got the $20,000 later in the year that was awarded to us end of July. And then last year we allocated money from 2024 that's being carried over.
Okay.
So we're carrying over the unspent funds from last year.
Okay, so I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
That gets us to that 295 number.
Perfect. That sounds good to me. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7, recommended items for future agendas. I see none. Entertain motion to adjourn. I have a motion. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.